there lived a wealthy merchant called Antonio. His best friend Bassanio was going to get married to a beautiful and wise heiress of Belmont.
Hey ho, Antonio, Bassanio, it's been so long. How are the preparations of your wedding going on?
Sir, I'll repay the debt tomorrow.
I have a bond. You promised to pay the money back today. You gave your word to give me your property if you fail to pay up.
But my loan is just 50 ducats, and the worth of my property is much higher.
You should have thought of that before pledging your property to me.
Wait, Shylock. What you are doing is immoral.
Antonio, just get off from the way. Stop meddling with my affairs. I have a bond. A deal is a deal, and a promise is a promise.
Here's your 50 ducats that Bassanio owes you. The deal is till today, and today is not over yet. Leave him alone, or else I shall complain against you in the court.
Oh, thank you, Antonio. I shall certainly pay you back soon.
Antonio, Shylock hates you. Forget about him. Tell me, how are your wedding preparations going on?
Everything is not fine, Antonio. I was expecting some money this week, but it won't come until next 5 months at least. And I have already made purchases that I have to pay up for.
How much?
3,000 ducats. That is a lot of money. Yes, and I have purchased a ring for Portia, which has cost me a fortune. And we want to have a huge feast for the poor and offer them gifts. But now, I don't know. What shall I do?
Noble Bassanio, I would have gladly lent you the money, but even I do not have 3,000 ducats at present. But my ships will come back in 3 months, and I shall have thousands of ducats then.
But by then, it will be too late. The wedding is next week.
Oh, I might have an idea. Come with me.
Antonio suggests Bassanio to secure the loan from Shylock and name Antonio as the loan's guarantor. Both of them go to him, but Shylock has developed a long-standing grudge against Antonio.
Oh, how much I hate Antonio. My practice of loaning money at exorbitant rates of interest has gone down. How shall I get rid of him? Antonio?
Yes, I have a reason to visit you. Can I ask you for a loan of 3,000 ducats?
No, Antonio. Do not make any deal with him.
Do not worry, Bassanio. Everything will be fine.
All right. Let's make a deal. I will lend you 3,000 ducats with no interest, and you will repay the entire amount before the stipulated date. But if you fail to repay on time, you will let me cut a pound of your flesh. Deal?
This is downright cheating, Antonio. Let's go.
Do not worry, Bassanio. My ships will be back in 3 months. They are already on their way. We have nothing to worry about, my friend.
Bassanio was worried about Antonio. He knew Shylock could not be trusted. But Antonio was confident. Shylock gave him 3,000 ducats, and Bassanio now could go ahead with his plans for his wedding. Bassanio marries Portia. He gave her the beautiful ring he wanted her to have, and together both of them shared their wealth with the poor. They hosted a feast and gave the needy gifts of charity. Months rolled by. Bassanio and Portia were very happy together. Soon it was time for Antonio to return Shylock's money. a messenger comes with a message that Antonio has to appear in the court regarding the money he had borrowed from Shylock.
How can this be possible? I'm sure we have at least few more days before the date of returning the money.
What? Wait, you cannot arrest him like that.
What happened? What? There was a storm in the sea? Antonio's ships?
Oh, my friend Antonio is doomed.
No, I will not let Antonio come to any harm. I shall come to the court myself as Antonio's lawyer, but for that, I need to disguise myself. Antonio is brought to the court before the Duke of Venice, and the proceedings begin.
The case is quite simple, Your Honor. Antonio owes me 3,000 ducats, and according to the bond, if he fails to repay the money, he will let me cut a pound of flesh off his body, and he has failed to do so.
Mr. Shylock Thunders, would you please show me the contract? But Antonio's property is worth much more than 3,000 ducats. Why don't you take just some of it that can cover the debt instead of cutting his flesh?
I'm sorry, sir. I have a bond. Antonio himself has signed it. What I ask for is all legal.
Do we have a lawyer for Mr. Antonio?
Yes, Your Honor. I am Mr. Antonio's lawyer. I request for mercy for Mr. Antonio from Mr. Shylock Thunders.
I object, my lord. Deal is a deal, a promise is a promise. I want a pound of his fair flesh. May I, Your Honor?
Though it is an immoral act, but Mr. Antonio himself has signed the strange deal. So, Mr. Shylock, go ahead, take the dagger and get your loan repaid by a pound of his flesh.
Wait, Mr. Shylock Thunders. Cut only a pound of his flesh, very precisely. No more, no less. The bond stipulates a pound of flesh only, but there is no allowance for blood. If a drop of blood is spilled, you will be guilty of forfeiture and guilty of conspiring against the life of a Venetian citizen, and half of your lands and goods will be confiscated by the state, and the other half will go to Antonio.
Oh no! I beg for your mercy, Your Honor.
The Duke spares Shylock's life and takes a fine instead of Shylock's property. Antonio also foregoes his half of Shylock's wealth on some conditions. Shylock agrees and takes his leave. Eventually, Portia reveals her true identity to Bassanio. Their happiness doubled with the joyful news of the arrival of Antonio's ships that have come back safely out of the storm.